Okay, so welcome to a new episode of our podcast. And today I have my usual criminals, our usual criminals, so how you want to say
Thanks.
it. We have James, Lewis, and Johannes. And I want to put some
Yay.
spotlight on Johannes. So, hey, Johannes, welcome.
Yes. Hi. Again.
Again, yeah.
Welcome back.
What is it? Second, third time? I don't know. Hard to keep track.
Yeah, I think it's the second time, I think. And yeah, you made your thoughts come out last time, and it was great. And yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I
here,
mean,
and you want to be here. That's the best thing of it all.
life is short. Have fun. Meet interesting people.
Exactly.
Why are you here?
So, but we're not here to talk
Wow.
about me. We're here to talk about
No.
Ignite.
Lots of things. Yes.
Yeah.
Most importantly, Ignite.
Ignite.
Should we start
What's-
with the book of news?
Let's do it. So, were any of you there in person? By the way,
Nope.
that's not,
No.
I know the answer to the question, but yeah.
It's really expensive to get to Seattle.
I mean, last year you were basically flying to Seattle to watch Ignite on YouTube. So like, I don't know. That's that. But that clearly changed now. There was a lot of people in the audience. There was a lot of things happening on site. So I may consider Ignite next year for sure.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to get back to the old days of Ignite.
The tours of. I only went to Ignite London the tour back in 2018 or something, 2019.
Oh yeah, I remember that they did that when they went in the different countries, and you could go there in person in a way,
Yeah.
right? After
That was really
the
good.
official Ignite.
So am I the only one here who's actually been to an Ignite conference?
Sounds like it.
I haven't been there.
It was in Orlando, 2019. It was like 25,000 people. You get the marketing full blast, and you can. And like, I'm not saying that as a joke. It's a very real thing. You could feel the energy. Like, oh wow, the cloud is coming, and we just need to deal with it now. And that didn't wear off for me.
And the key thing from this year's Ignite is AI, right?
Shocking.
Yep.
Yeah,
Not just
Copilot,
Ignite,
right?
it's every vendor, right? AI is the topic. It's almost getting boring, and it's just the start.
the big deal. Yeah, if we was to scroll down the book of news here, pretty much everything is around AI being shoved into pretty much anything. But how do we make AI relatable to people? Because it's a buzzword right now, right? In my
It
opinion.
is. And how?
I think the hype and the marketing is a little too strong, considering that there's not a lot of stuff you can do with it right now.
And I mean, I think people deep into the tech can see the potential benefits, but we're not the ones that need to be convinced.
Which I think is just highlights how important it is that you're able to convey the importance of this to your managers, leaders, whatever, in a human language. Like, okay, this is gonna save some billable hours. Well, how many? Well, it may be as much as 5% of your billable hours, and that doesn't seem like a lot until you find out, oh, actually 5% of our billable hours is like 50,000 hours. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And that's how you can have that conversation with your leadership.
Absolutely.
As an example.
I had a conversation earlier on this week, and every company is going to have a number, right? Say you've got a consultancy company, and just for round numbers' sake, they're putting out a consultant at £1,000 a day. Okay, well, if you work out the cost of M365 Copilot, they'll need to save 14 minutes a month to pay for their license. Not everybody is going to cost that much, but every company is going to have that number. So it is, yeah. It's
I
breaking
think
down.
so. They had a really, really good demo of the Copilot Studio, where they linked it was like a chatbot, but you could link it specifically to like a table in your bookkeeping software, like Dynamics Nav, whatever. So you could ask the chatbot, like with natural language, like how many, how much paid time off do I have? And the bot is then able to just read those tables, those specific tables that you specified, and it can just answer you in a natural language. Now that doesn't seem all that impressive. Like, oh, okay, I have 5 days that I can use for vacation. So what? But that cuts out a middleman of some assistant in your company that doesn't need to do this for you. Nobody needs to run a SQL query. Nobody needs expert level knowledge on how to open up Business Central or Dynamics Nav and look this up.
It's a low code, no code, right?
Yeah.
There is a concept as well of some people needing to see it to believe it in terms of how much time it's saving. Now, I was on a vendor call with Roost the other day, not plugging them. We have no affiliation with them here or in my company, just for context. In their automation tool, they actually have something that can write into your PSA how much time you would have saved by running that flow, so that the ticket says like Roost saved you this much time. And then you can look at the stats at the end of the year or quarter, or whatever your period is, and go, actually, this tool, look how much money this is saving us. If Microsoft could do something where Copilot helps you and you say, did this help? You select yes. It then adds all that up in Viva and presents it to your management in some way.
That piece of information, is that to help the company, or is that to help Roost show the value of the product?
It's both. Because my takeaway from the product is, I come from an MSP. If you have someone that loves that product and automates really well with it, you're saving like 3 engineers. But that's beside the point. This isn't a sales podcast. It's just, yeah.
Just an observation around how those sorts of things can save time.
Yeah, because not everyone's immediately going to grasp the fact that Copilot will save time. They just go, oh, this is expensive and it's for every user. How am I to know that each employee is using it? Who are the ones using it? Who are the ones not using it? How do I get people to get on board with it and start saving time?
A frustrating thing that I've seen around is the idea of, oh, well, now we're being, nickel and dimed for stuff that we can do on-prem. And just the thought of that, like, how exactly? How can you do that stuff on-prem exactly? I think it's a disconnect. Just because stuff is expensive. So yeah, being able to explain the true value of it, or how to get a return on your investment, is the key bit.
And like you said, James, the startup goes in. We know how big of a value it can give us, because let's just say now we're seeing Copilot being integrated into the different workloads, Intune, Entra, like all these collaboration tools as well. So it's an interesting track we're going to now. And right now, it's like you said, it's trying to be relatable to something we already know.
Yeah.
And gives us a second brain that we can, how do you call it, collaborate with or work together with.
What I think is going to be interesting is this is basically year one of practical AI. I mean, yeah, we've had machine learning for a few years, but let's just say this is year one. It takes roughly 10 to 20 years for new technology to start permeate society properly, whether it's cell phones, social media, AI, whatever. So this is the beginning of this. And I would suggest I strongly encourage all customers companies, organizations, whatever. This may seem optional. It's like a nice toy, a useful toy, a cute little tool right now. But I think it's going to be inevitable. And you should definitely get ready for this now. Start the work now. Because keep in mind, changing the way you do you manage your business is a lot cheaper than you think. It's certainly cheaper than trying to alter the tool to fit your business. Not everybody likes to hear this, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult though, isn't it? Because this tool will very quickly highlight areas in your business where there are access permission problems. If you've got access, if I'm a SharePoint user and the groups are messy and I've never gone to look at all the sites and click into all the things, if I say what's Jeff's salary and it gives me that information, that's a big problem.
Oh, so I delivered a talk about this a few weeks ago. So it will obey all the access control lists in SharePoint everywhere else, but that doesn't really prevent anybody from getting access to stuff that. No, okay. Let me rephrase this. This is something that happened a few years ago when Delve showed up.
Yes.
You would open up Delve, all of a sudden you see a bunch of files, like Lewis has been sharing something, Jonas has been sharing something. I'm like, wait, why am I seeing this? So it was just highlighting stuff that you already had access to, you simply didn't know. So just because something is available but uninteresting, that doesn't mean it should be available.
Yeah, I see your point. Could it be make it relatable, like when you have your feed on LinkedIn or Twitter, or you sometimes get something that you have no association with?
Yeah. And it's sort of neat. The sort of change as an organization would need to do is, like for example, human resources. Don't create a file that's accessible by anybody that has a list of employees that are going to be fired. Like you need access controls for this stuff. Sure, before you can just put this on your desktop, whatever, but you probably shouldn't. So you should have a business process to handle sensitive data. Or how you manage your projects. Maybe you should make everything. You don't have access to anything except specific projects that you're part of. Some companies do it that way.
I think while that's the right thing to do, so many people have never historically had. There's been too much overhead on making that a reality, and like that's not that it's not a problem, but fixing your historical data stuff. And if somebody was wanting to move their on-prem file share to the cloud, whatever that looked like, is SharePoint the right way to do it? Maybe. Like for certain bits of it probably will be. For certain other bits, it probably won't. But replicating your existing file structure isn't gonna take into account those access control lists. So yeah, if your data is messy and hasn't been looked after, it's going to remain that way until you do that piece of work. But there's lots of things that factors into. It's like all of the things that we're just going to move to cloud management, devices. Oh, okay, right. What about your identity? What about the data? What about all of the other networking? All of the other things that flow into it.
Something tells me that all the Microsoft Priva consultants are going to be making a killing in the coming 10 years.
I was just going to mention if you have a scenario, this is a really good point, where you do have lots of data, your business is 20, 30 years old. To get into the cloud and to start using the AI tools, you're probably going to have to adopt auto sensitivity labels to classify that data and put the rules on that and use that to separate the barriers, because a human would just take too long to do it.
Yeah.
And I think, and like you said, Priva people are going to be happy. I don't know many Priva people, but wherever they are, come and talk to us.
But I think the start where you are, and the best place to start is how much of this data do we actually need to take into the cloud? When was it last accessed? Who last used it? Because if you've got a bunch of data that nobody's accessed for years, just back it up and scrap it. So you've still got access if you do need it, but you're not bringing it along with you just because you don't know.
I mean, hey, those graph connectors for your on-prem data. So for those of you watching, if you have on-prem data and you want to make it accessible to Copilot, you can use something called a graph connector. Those things are not. I think you pay 1,000 euros per 1 million objects. Now that doesn't seem like oh, okay, 1 million objects. Like, who has 1 million files? I work for a very small company and we have about 70 million files.
Is that per month, that cost?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
just loading everything into that's you should probably not do that.
it then also ends up to. Sorry, Lewis.
I was going to say plus your SharePoint storage credits if you're moving everything, right? And they're
that too.
They're like 20 cents a gig per month or something.
Yep.
Your file storage racks up quickly as well.
Yep. Yes, it does.
And I can keep to think about what about the security and all of this, right? If you connect your own data to it from your on-premise environment.
To Entra.
Yeah. But so I just want to go back to a little bit about the general feelings about Ignite. What do you guys think about? We know Copilot was on the table. It's the hot subject. Many of us know that now. But the feelings about, you talked about a little bit about how they're going back to their roots, right? They're trying. I'm seeing as they got our feedback from last year, right? And now they're building on top of that, and that's a positive thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, planning a conference with tens of thousands of people is not an easy thing. It probably takes more than a whole year to do it. So even if they decided yesterday, okay, next time it's going to be fully in the flesh, everybody can just show up at, New York, whatever. That needs a lot of planning. So I think they've just been testing the waters. Can we do this mixed? Like, what do people actually like that?
I remember, I might be misremembering this, but I'm sure I heard something around BlizzCon and Blizzard, and that they were having to plan the following year's BlizzCon before the previous years even happened. So it's, you can't not with an event that size. But yeah, I'd certainly be interested in going to one.
There's also, I can speak from experience, being able, so the value from going to conferences is not the sessions. It's almost always the people and the conversations you have on site.
Totally agree. Network, yeah.
That's any event though.
Yeah. So have a hybrid event. That's fine. So people who can't show up can watch the sessions, but don't even try to tell me it's the same thing. It isn't. Not even close.
So I agree with you. I think online events are actually quite boring because you're just sat in the same. You're just watching a video. The way to make it a bit more engaging, as I've seen other IT companies do, is host an event at your office, put it on the TV, buy some pizzas, get your employees talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I like as well. If you meet up with multiple people and you watch it together, that's in person. I like that.
I think it's because it's a lot harder to get swept up with other things when you're there in person. Like if you're there at physically an event, you have to detract yourself away to keep doing your work. But if you're just on a Teams call, you're on your device. So it's just noise in the background.
Second monitor entertainment.
Yeah, pretty much. Getting engagement on Teams calls is really difficult, internally or externally.
Maybe we need to avatar at some point. So
it's not
okay. But I've seen the things they've been trying to do with the teams, right? With the avatars.
I think they're creepy.
Yeah, I don't like
I think they're really creepy.
Weird when dabs.
I see the value from an accessibility point of view.
Yeah.
But they're still just a little bit creepy.
It's not normal yet, is it? That's why.
No.
I mean, if
But
you think about it, a few years ago, replying to a text from your mom with an emoji was rude. Why would you do that? That's so weird. Just
I'll make
type
the double
something
tap
out.
with the heart.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, it's like it's your mother. Come on. But now nobody thinks about it twice. It's just like emojis back and forth, GIFs and stickers and who knows what else.
I'm gonna do it right now. You know,
But that
all love to mom.
That took 15 years to become normal.
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes like 10, 15 years.
And now it's got to the point where there's a generational difference in how emojis are used. Old people use the thumbs up and the crying laughter face.
I think
lot.
you'll find they're called emoticons.
Yeah.
And, they have been prevalent with MSN Messenger back in the day. Yeah, respect. I feel old now. Let's move on.
Yeah, but just the last point of this one, James, but because it connects to what you said in the start, Johannes, about how you adapt new technologies. It's linked together, and that's the feeling of how humans pretty much interact with new stuff that rocks their boats.
To go on one slight tangent on that. So with AI, they have a bit of an uphill battle because you're all used to chatbots that are bad. You know, your travel agent has one, airline, your banking, whatever. They're usually just terrible. They're very basic. So once those companies start like, oh, okay, our chatbots are terrible. We're going to come with a new chatbot. This one is actually good. Their customers will have a hill to climb over, or there's a threshold because they were just like, the last 20 of these were terrible. Why should this one be any good?
Because it's actually listening to you this time.
That's why they dress them up as real people. Yep. They don't say it's a chatbot. They say you're speaking to our assistant, and within I don't know, Jeeves, whoever it might be.
What do you ask him? Oh, say, it's making me feel old.
Yeah, James, back to you. You said.
Oh no, I was just gonna drag it into Intune because I'm really excited about all of the Intune stuff that's been announced at Ignite.
Okay, do you want to do a quick one? Let's just do a quick one on Entra first, okay? And then we'll take Intune. Because, yeah. Can we do the what's new on Entra first? Because I know there's so many things we can talk about on Intune.
From
the
cliffhanger news.
And the what's new page. Let me find it for you. Not what's new page, but the Ignite. This one.
Yeah.
It's got AI in the title. That's good.
Yeah. So of course the first thing is gonna be Entra and Security Copilot, of course, right? And that's the thing they're gonna show right here in the first one, and that's again enabling an existing workload with Copilot, making it relatable. What are you guys' thoughts about how it is on this one, the sign-in events? If you can go down. James,
I think where Copilot or AI tools like that really shine is when you're dealing with a lot of data like this, like sign-in logs. Because writing queries to find exactly what you want. I mean, sure, the four of us, we're all IT professionals. If we don't know it, we can learn it fairly quickly. We can find success because we have a lot of experience with this. But there's a lot of customers that have no experience with any of this. They don't know what a query language is. They wouldn't even know where to type it. And even if they tried, it's like, oh, you need to set up this and then that. And then this needs to run for a week before you get any results. Blah, blah, blah. But whereas when you have something like this, you can just type in how often has James logged in from France or something, and they will just give you results.
Why am I getting so many prompts? Why am my password being reset all the time? Yeah.
Because you're still using legacy MFA.
Another subject. But yes, the natural language putting into fine troubleshooting.
Yeah.
That's a great way of where it's going. I will say it's a great start. Yeah, and then they came out with the SASE solution, right? Yeah.
I'm really excited about this.
Yes.
From an endpoint perspective, there's a couple of key blockers that people get trapped into with moving to, cloud native join and with devices, and we need VPN to on-prem, and this can potentially just be a very quick unblocker to one of those things. It can obviously do lots more than that, but acting selfishly and thinking selfishly and hoping it helps fix one of those key blockers for companies.
I think right now the use case for this is tiny, and it cannot be applied to companies that have lots of technical debt, because a lot of the access rules that these companies have is not identity aware. It's normally just locked down to an IP, and they use traditional VPNs, and they're emotionally tied to using those solutions because it's what they know, it's what the users know. And there are lots of different vendors in the picture here. There's lots of different vendors that don't support these modern access methods, and it's going to take years before this is the norm, like 10 years.
But what I've seen is rocking my mind right now is that you're able to do it in front of protocols. When you activate a specific protocol, you're able to then put in a modern protocol and get the MFA prompt before you can access the legacy protocol. So that's then a combination of legacy death that you can then still secure with a modern protocol.
See, the thing that worries me about this somewhat is the integration between teams in a company. By that I mean, who owns this? Is this infrastructure? Is this security? I was at a Microsoft event earlier on this week and was having a conversation with somebody that was there. And as I normally do, I said, are you still doing hybrid join for devices? And they were.
You couldn't resist.
I have to ask the question. And I then asked, well, why are you not just doing a cloud native join? And the answer was, we don't know. That was like, what's stopping you doing it? Not sure.
Yeah.
And then an interesting thing that came out was just like, we have got a Cisco VPN, but we're moving to Zscaler. And the first words out of my mouth were, that's your security team asking that, right? Or telling you to do that. And of course I was right. Is that the right choice for them? I don't know. I don't know their business. But it's not going to be the security team that have to deal with the fallout of when that's switching from that old VPN to Zscaler and when it doesn't work. It's going to be the endpoint team. So why are you not involved in those conversations? I probably opened up more questions in his head than I answered, but that's my job. I'm a consultant.
Yeah, I know
what
how
about
that.
Cisco? What's Cisco gonna do about this?
Nothing. But yeah, the ownership of this, security cover. There's such a grey area. Even like in Intune, about what's set. Okay, yeah, well, our security stuff is all configured in Intune. Well, who owns it?
It's difficult because Intune's moved over to the security stack. It's a security product now, but it's an end user compute thing, and the on-prem guys before would have managed it through Active Directory user computers group policy. Well, when was that ever a security team thing? Really?
It wasn't. And GPO was usually an infrastructure team thing, or
Or help desk.
at the point at which it was being used, there weren't specific teams. There were different specialities within a wider just IT team, and then they segregated off, and now they don't speak to each other.
Maybe it's like people have been saying for about 20 years now. Siloing your IT teams was a bad idea 20 years ago. It was a bad idea 10 years ago. It's still a bad idea. You might need a more lateral approach that cuts across all the teams.
Yeah, but does that consist of someone or everyone in your team? Let's say you've got a team of 20 people. Do they now all have to wear multiple hats?
I don't have an answer for that. That is like, just do this and you will see happiness. That's not how any of this works. But it is absolutely an organizational problem that needs to be addressed sooner than later.
I'll say in my point of view, it's you need to be agreed on what is your shared goal, right? And that is to secure the company and make it easy to work at the company.
Yeah.
And how you then connect the dots with each other and each other's subject of experts, subject matter experts. How they then connect their islands or silos or whatever we call it, needs to be to get to the point where we feel secure and we have a great company to work at that attracts people.
So it needs wider business change, but I don't think companies go into it thinking that they're going to need to do that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. This one is the activator, in a way, of starting those conversations that is probably being left a little bit behind, technology-wise.
How about this one? Microsoft managed conditional access policies. Why do you think they're doing this? Why do you think they did security defaults?
You want to make sure that everyone is pretty much in the data they have. They've seen so much data, Microsoft, and they see the need to react. They feel obligation to react on the data they have, and they just do it like this.
You mean that people aren't actually securing their tenants properly?
Exactly.
So Microsoft will do it for you.
I applaud their efforts for it. And
it's a thankless task.
Yeah, it's a thankless task, and I will happily dismiss anybody who disagrees with their approach. When you've seen the figures, the percentages, like something had to be done, and honestly, we should have done it years ago.
Yes.
If you don't like it, set them up properly in your own tenant, and then they won't take effect.
Yep.
Job done.
But on the flip side, there are a whole bunch of small companies that just like they have no IT. They barely even have any managed services or anything. They need email, so now we have a tenant.
And they
don't think about it beyond that. Like, oh, we have Azure? I didn't even know that. I only have email.
Yeah, and they're not the ones reading the roadmap items or the changes or the admin messages that have things like auto rollout of conditional access policies, auto rollout of number matching MFA potentially, and all those controls.
Yeah.
I also heard that the Microsoft CISO was on Ignite, and he had some great points of how he sees all the attacks and stuff, obligations, and but he also said a thing that was that there's 1,200 attacks on passwords per second.
Yep.
And you need to react on that.
Remove the passwords.
Yes.
Oh, so like passwordless authentication methods. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, passwordless is a very real thing. I don't even know my own password at work, and we have a growing number of users who don't use their password ever. So I'd say where I work, we basically have two groups of people: people who are already passwordless because I just forced them to it, and then we have a whole bunch of employees who are effectively passwordless because they never use it. They always use the Face ID, fingerprint, authenticator app. They still have a password. They can use it. They just don't. Or very, very rarely.
When do you think
So
you'll be in a position to remove the password option from signing into Windows?
Oh yeah, I see that happening next year for us, for sure.
I want to just put something out there as a thought experiment, because an objection I saw to passwordless was that it's less secure because there isn't a password. So I know we've seen this, but how do we deal with this? Because the whole thought at the moment is it's something you know, something you have, and something you are to get into something. If you take the password out of it, to me, the thing that you know is your phone PIN. It's the way that you get into your device. So that's that bit dealt with. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, you need the phone as well. People tend to notice when they're missing their phone. As an example.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point.
That's something that I just want to point out here. That's a good thing of talking about as well, is the passkeys, right? You need something to activate and you need something to authenticate with. So the activation is when you sign into the activation code and you get the code, and then you can to the authentication factor, and then you can authenticate to the service.
Yeah.
And the activation factor is something you are, like you said, it was, and or something you know. So biometrics or something you know, the tap or pin.
Also, the PIN is per device.
Yep.
Just because you stole my PIN doesn't mean you can use it anywhere except on the devices that I have. And I'm going to notice if my laptop is missing.
I think I've seen the a 6-digit PIN can't be secure to get into your laptop, but nobody ever complains that your bank card has a 4-digit PIN on it.
Yeah, or the iPhone has simple PIN and it's 4 digits.
Yeah.
And that has access to your bank, and you can potentially send 50 grand with a 4-digit PIN.
Yep.
Are you humble bragging that you have 50 grand on the ready?
No. I wish.
Yeah, let's go down, James.
That's what we got here. Permissions management.
This one is huge as well. My first thoughts on it is that it's pretty much Microsoft's way of, they want to embrace every cloud services out there. And that's the thing that this one is going to give, the possibilities. Enhance the possibilities across, as it says, Azure, Amazon, and Google.
Like they're putting ID in the name so people understand that Entra is an identity provider, and putting XDR in Defender because it's not obvious enough that it does all of the capabilities of an XDR.
It's what the competitors are doing.
Yep.
If you look at certain AV vendor, they now market it as a AI XDR service.
And XDR stands for Extended Detection Response, right?
Using cloud heuristics and robots and clever stuff to do things that could be prevented if you had a secure endpoint baseline.
Her identity is protected by Skynet.
Shout out to James, Open Baseline.
Open baseline, yeah, go and...
Which doesn't cover identity, but
no.
Hey.
But back to the thing, we gotta talk about different technologies, right, and combine it. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, whether you're looking at data or endpoints, your security boundary is somebody's identity.
Yes.
It's about
not the office LAN.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen trusted location as the office, which is the place they are most likely to be phished?
Yep,
Exactly.
literally
point.
all the time.
I see it, and I see it on big expensive companies doing big expensive things. I'm like, how? Why are you doing this? Oh, because they get prompted for MFA too often. No, they don't. You just have to change how you're doing
You've
MFA.
set it up incorrectly.
Yeah, or you're using the legacy MFA portal.
Oh, but we've set up conditional access. Yeah, but still pays attention to that other stuff.
The last thing I wanna talk a little bit about is the passkeys in the Entra subject. The passkeys that's coming out here for Microsoft. Little introduction to passkeys. So passkeys is something the Fighter 2 Alliance, which is different companies who is together in a way of finding out how they can make the newest authentication methods ongoing. That's the Fighter 2 Alliance. So it's based on something they have written together with some very, very clever guys. And then they have made passkeys, which is also called in terminologies that is now the term device-bound passkeys. And the biggest thing in my head to understand this, so we can cross, it can be stored on multiple devices, is that it can only be trusted by the domain that it's been created on. If that makes sense. So, but what are your thoughts about passkeys?
That starting with Windows 11.
yeah.
So if you're not on Windows 11 or even thinking about your transition from 10 to 11 and you want to make your company more secure, start thinking about this.
I think I have a question for you guys. If you can use passkeys, why would you buy a FIDO key or a YubiKey or any of those? I mean, everybody has a phone. You don't need to buy anything. It's software. It's free.
Blizzard asked that question. You guys have phones? In my opinion, I would look for physical FIDO2 keys for members of staff who have privileged access, and then use like authentication strengths to further secure their administrative accounts or something.
But another thing is about this: why you want to have the physical and by hand, the YubiKeys, keys, for example, security hardware keys. Is
Other FIDO keys are available.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
You don't know what they look like.
Yeah, it's based on the FIDO 2 standards, but it's because you want to be phishing resistant, right? That's what you want to accomplish. And you can accomplish that in different ways. And passkeys is just a great addition to have something that can be bound on multiple devices and shared across multiple devices.
Yeah, I think all of it is summing it up incredibly good for overall account security.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that this is all really great, but how do we get people away from the concept of having a username and password?
Okay, I'm going to challenge that. Why do you say that? Because I have not met a single person who has tried out passwordless and thought to themselves or complained like, man, I need my password back. That thing was amazing. They woke up in the morning, password this and password that. I just, there's rainbow and birds singing. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. Nobody cares about passwords. Just get rid of them.
No, they don't, but they care about the change. They go,
no, they don't.
Ken's been logging in for 25 years with his password. He doesn't know how to use Microsoft Authenticator, and he's due to retire. I'm not being ageist. I'm just...
Yeah. And your same Ken has been has been passwordless on his iPhone for the last 10 years. He just picks it up. It scans his face. He doesn't even notice this. This is 3 times a year when he has his extra dark sunglasses where he needs to type in his PIN, and he barely even notices.
I have to say something. You can quote me on that, on this one. Decision makers are sleeping.
Yes.
Can I have that on a mug?
Sure.
And then just raise it when I'm in the call with these people talking about passwordless.
Decision makers are sleeping. Hashtag passwordless. Yeah.
Decision makers who wait, who stall making decisions until their environment forces them to do it, are no decision makers at all.
Yeah.
You're just waiting.
It's like the companies that don't invest in cybersecurity until they've been breached.
Mhm.
Well, or they use buzzwords like turnkey solution and buy an AV that they can just double click install and then go to sleep.
Turnkey passkey.
No. No.
But Microsoft are seeing a growth. Let me go back to this one. Microsoft is seeing a growth on 150% in monthly active users authenticating with a device-bound passkey in the past 12 months. So it's going somewhere. But it's numbers from Microsoft.
I haven't had a password on my Microsoft account for years now.
Yeah, same. Don't miss it.
Nope. And I think that's the thing. The more people get used to doing that at home, the more going to work is going to feel like going back into the dark ages. They've got, they don't have a password on their account on their PC, and they have got Windows 11 on their home PC, and they're going into work and they're having to put in their password and these restrictive ancient policies on Windows 10, and it just feels like a step back every time they go into work. And
but the insurance company wants it.
People are going to get tired with that and are going to look for somewhere else to work.
Yep. And it's like what you said earlier, right? A lot of the time they have the things that will enable them to do this. They've got Entra ID Plan 1, maybe even Plan 2 if they're fancy, and they're not using any of it. And when you say why, well, I don't know. It's just not on our roadmap. We're too busy resetting passwords to think about deploying passwords.
Yep.
Passwordless.
So what about other things to help people in IT to manage their devices easier?
RMM?
Wrong.
Intune.
Yeah.
No.
Is that a new product?
Yes, brand new. Again, making me feel old, knowing that I've been working with it since 2015. And oh boy, those years ago, I didn't think it was going to come to this. Genuinely very excited about these things. But can I just, I'm going to zoom in just to make the text as big as possible here.
Why is there issue with Microsoft zooming possibilities or
not with text, but just to highlight this bit because
Yes.
Hang on. It says may be the fastest way.
Right. How do I open up DevTools and remove that?
A cloud native endpoint management approach with Intune be the fastest way to make it secure.
Will be the fastest way. You are holding yourselves back if you're still joined to a domain. And I think it's how often we're seeing people not having the answer to why are you still doing domain join.
Okay, for new viewers, let's because it's easy for us to say this, why you should be in the cloud, but they don't know why. So what problems does it solve in a line 5 items?
You just asked Johannes's question there.
I'm not going to say it.
It's the business problem you are trying to solve.
The soul, yeah.
Say-
It's been really quite clear for several years now that
No. Don't be snarky.
I'm not being snarky.
The person watching this doesn't know it's clear. They've never seen Intune. Yet they're
Okay.
watching it going, oh, I've got Intune, and yeah, there's people online talking about it, but I like on-prem, I like config man, I like how I've got it.
Yeah. But then again, your IT infrastructure as an emotional support animal is probably not the way to go. But okay, we can cut the snark out in post.
I won't.
So there's been a significant amount of development, more development on the cloud side of IT than there has in the on-prem side of IT for a long time. And that isn't just something that's I'm making up. You can look up the change logs in all of these products, whether it's Exchange, SharePoint, Active Directory, Configuration Manager. It doesn't matter where you look. This isn't even exclusive to Microsoft at all. There's not a lot going on the on-prem side, but on the cloud side, everything is flying off the shelves. Really,
Can I respond in a slightly different way? So I am looking to do this. What are the benefits? BitLocker is far easier with Intune. It's a policy. It works. The key gets uploaded. It's automatic. You don't have to think about it. Your GPOs get converted to settings catalog. Again, you actually get feedback as to whether it has been deployed to the device, not just set, forget, and hope for the best with GPOs.
But don't just bring along your tech debt.
But don't bring your GPOs along. This is where the open baseline comes in again. That could be your starting point, but you need to think about it from the start. You don't have to set up devices. You use Autopilot the first 30 seconds of Intune. It runs you through that out-of-box experience.
Yeah.
Intune will then build your laptop. There is no such thing as a golden image anymore. That's a thing of the past. If you're using MDT, stop trying to make it work with Windows 11. It's not supported. You also then get the capability to onboard to Defender for Endpoint for Intune. Once you get that nailed, okay, it's quite a steep learning curve, but once you get that nailed, you've automated your endpoint setup and security and encryption from Intune. Like, that solves so many problems. You want access to on-prem resources, that's another one, right? We talk about Cloud Kerberos Trust every single day in the Discord communities we're in. I can't move to Intune because we've got on-prem printers and file shares. Set up Cloud Kerberos Trust. That gives you seamless access to those things.
That takes 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
To understand it, it takes a little bit longer when you've not done it before, but your cloud native endpoint is joined to Intune using your hybrid identity that belongs on Active Directory. You get access to your on-prem stuff.
The thing that I see quite a lot in response to that is that they're not the ones responsible for being able to put Cloud Kerberos Trust in. They don't have access to they're just doing stuff on devices. Like, they don't have access to the security portal or even Entra. Like, they have Intune and they don't know how to use it, and they're trying as best they can within the confines. That's a business problem that they're not, letting them do stuff. I don't think any of this new stuff is going to help that particular problem.
If you're an endpoint guy, if you manage or girl, if you manage endpoints and that is your job, you need to go and make a strong business case as to why this is the future and start to get people on your side, because it will make your life easier. It will make everyone's life easier.
I mean, there's easy realizations you can see in moving to cloud and Intune related stuff. Like, even if you have config manager, the move from constantly messing around with your patching to not worrying about it and deploying Windows Update for Business.
I completely forgot about that, but yeah, updates, who cares about them? Set your update rings, forget them, go to sleep. Your updates are handled.
Yeah,
Easy.
you want these things that take effort off you so you can be busy doing other stuff that's important, because BAU isn't going away. The problem is that your BAU right now is taking so much time, you can't look at getting this stuff in.
Yeah, the problem in every business is always the same thing. It's people and it's communications.
I would like to add that we've all faced some customers who've said something along the lines of, "Well, we're mostly desktops, so do we really need to have any sort of cloud connectivity, like manage them from the cloud? Like, what's the business case for this? Like, they're static devices. They're in a they sit on a desk." Well, if you start tracking your desktops, you will quickly notice that they travel a lot more than you think.
So we had this conversation the other week, because working with an education customer, and I thought about that. And then when I raised this, all of their desktops are in steel containers that are bolted to the desks. They don't move.
Those don't move. But but they were probably put in those steel containers because they moved a lot.
Yes. Yes. Probably most businesses don't lock their desktops in steel cabinets, but I think your point is very valid. It doesn't matter whether desktops or laptops. The whole point in Intune is that it doesn't matter what OS you're running or what type of device, because going back to the earlier point of somebody's identity being your network boundary, the device is irrelevant. It's
look at Windows 365. It's a device without the device. It doesn't matter where it is. Intune controls it.
Yep. The device could be in a cloud in Azure or another cloud provider, or physical, or in the palm of your hand. It doesn't matter where that device is. It's managing it wherever it is.
I think at some point we're going to have devices that are so lightweight to only present Windows 365.
Well, yeah, I mean, isn't that what Lenovo's trying to do with their Think phone? Is there some collab going on there?
Yes, Windows 365 on the phones, and you just kind of plug it in via, which Samsung kind of tried to do that whole thing with Samsung DeX, where you could just plug it into and have like a desktop-like experience. And I did forget my laptop one time a couple of years ago, and all I had was my phone, and I just plugged it in USB-C into my phone and did actually use Samsung DeX and still did my day's work just through my phone, which is kind of cool. But yeah, if you can access your Windows desktop from that.
I remember like 15 years ago, one of my IT teachers had this vision, and it was literally that. It was like, one day we're gonna have a phone and it does it all. What we didn't know at that point was the phone is the thing that connects into your cloud PC. It's not all running on hardware on the device. It's separated. But he was right.
But you guys want to move on to?
Yeah, the 3 new things coming into Intune Suite, and without getting bogged down into discussions around Intune Suite, the actual things that are being added. Cloud PKI, I think, can be another one of those quick unblockers to people who have got on-prem infrastructure that takes a bunch of time and maintenance, or is painful, or whatever. And having seen this demoed at Workplace Ninja live on stage, it's literally like 3 minutes and 20 clicks, and then you're done. You have an entire PKI infrastructure, and anybody that might have set one up previously will know that it takes far longer than that to set up a PKI. And then you're able to use those within minutes. You could use those certificates in Entra as additional certificate-based authentication for devices if you wanted to, for authentication strengths or something.
Can I ask a stupid question? It might be this is cloud PKI thing. Is there a cost associated with this?
Yes, there'll
So
be a cost associated with all of these.
So is that for the service or to go and register the cert, or both? Does it? I don't know how this works. Is it doing it all?
No, so so the client, the Intune suite is licensed per user. So it's the boilerplate pricing is $10 a month per user
For the whole suite.
Yeah, for the whole suite, like all of this. But in individual certs, yeah, you're not paying anything for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Right.
PKI is
So-
$2.
So we are not gonna. So what is the example of using the PKI to what endpoint? You have your device, you get the certificate, you then authenticate towards Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it could be used to link in with your your Wi-Fi system to do the certificate-based authentication. I don't think this page specifically says anything about the use cases. I mean,
No.
if you don't have a use case for PKI, this one's probably not that much use to you.
Exactly.
But if you're not using PKI, you probably don't need to. So
Is it
And
priced
and that's
per
also a
cert?
thing.
Is it priced per certificate, or is it just
No.
one that you get?
No,
flat, create as many as you want.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
If you've got a use case, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've seen the most I've seen certificate used for is also when you sign your applications and code signing, and unsure if it's gonna do that because I saw NDES, and NDES is when you get your authentication certificate from your on-premise PKI to your devices or known devices that is a member of Intune.
Yeah.
But I've seen certificate being used the most when you want to accomplish SSO in one way or the other as well. But
Or if you've got an internal web thing, I think there's use cases that aren't going to be covered at release, but sure the team are aware of where they want to take it. And I think it would be fair to say with all of these things, Microsoft want the whole pie.
Yeah.
They want you to have access to all of the things that you need within the one product and not need to go out to third parties.
I don't know. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket.
Then you're an idiot.
But you also get the PKI also solves the as you said in the beginning, removes the management of a PKI that you host yourself.
Yep. Yeah, it's no joke setting up a PKI infrastructure from scratch.
So don't forget, this is PKI infrastructure that is set up correctly. It wasn't just like next, finish.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I have a certificate authority. Yay. But was it done correctly? Well, I don't care. I have one.
Yeah.
Which is like 99% of all certificate authorities in the world, in the enterprise space.
Yeah. Intune Advanced Analytics. Anyone that's used the endpoint analytics within Intune already, this is an extension of that. So being able to use some of that holistic data to do things like automatic anomaly detection. So the screenshot here is that over 5% of devices have had application crashes or hangs in 48-hour windows, and you can see which devices they are and which app has caused them, or the things that link those devices. Have they had a recent driver update, or how prevalent that issue is across your estate? Really, really useful bits of information to have if you're trying to get a good view over what is likely to be a hybrid working estate where everybody is, not everybody's in the office anymore. If you can't just nip down to 3rd floor and see what problem Sheila is having with her desktop anymore. But you need that view.
It also means you can be proactive rather than reactive. Oh, I see 5% of devices have this problem. Let's fix it before it's 50%.
Yeah.
Can I just say as well that this sort of thing is providing insights that are actually useful for an administrator, not what lots of RMMs do, which is just show you processor utilization, CPU use, disk space. This is helping me fix things.
Yeah.
I don't care how much CPU a device is running at any particular time or how much RAM, because most of it's going to be Teams, right? Let's throw some
your scanner, right? Or your scanner.
But you know, if that it could be a problem, it could just be somebody using their device, and distinguishing between those two is where it's important.
If a device is slow, they'll call you.
Yeah, if somebody's CPU's pegged at 100%, like all day, every day, it's going to impact the usability of that device, and you are going to get a ticket.
But one of the funniest thing I've seen from this one as well is also the group, how much group policies are delaying your startup on your devices.
Yeah, that's one in your endpoint analytics already. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Spoilers. That'll be a reason to stop domain joining your devices.
We used to have users that knew this, and when they would get to the office in the morning, they would just unplug the Ethernet cable and then plug it back in.
And then sign in, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
But let's head on to the next one, yeah?
Gee whiz, what's this?
Oh my god.
So
that
all of that holistic data you can see using the endpoint analytics, if you need to then dig into any of those devices and find out a little bit more, this would give you the ability to do so. Being able to actively look at system information or services.
So it's a query that you can query to the specific device and get input back or output back.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
so I'm thinking about, so we're probably getting the engine that is already ready from the analytics from above. We just saw it before, but also the group
this is
policy
part
analyzer.
of the same solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
I could imagine it's the same engine.
Yes.
So it's basically it's advanced threat hunting, but for endpoint admins instead.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I'm sure there'll be community resources that will pop up with good queries to run for certain things.
So do we think this could get me a list of the local admin accounts present on a device? Is this what this is used for, or is it to find groups of devices based on certain properties, like, I don't know, this version of Dell because it's got a bad driver, needs to go into this group or something?
This would be for looking at a specific device.
Oh, so it's on one device that it's querying. It's not doing the whole estate.
No, you're digging into one device here and getting the information from that device.
Okay, cool.
Battery health. Potentially useful.
I mean, there are a lot of organizations that will replace the laptop instead of replacing the battery. So you can kind of think of this as a lifecycle management for your endpoints.
Yeah, maybe looking more at the sustainability side of things.
Yeah.
Which I know is on the front of.
If we look at that, that's a really good point. Will we get to a point where you can replace the battery and then the machine kind of falls short of expected specs, but can then log into Windows 365? Who knows?
I mean, when you look at like Framework, they're making devices that are, modular essentially. So who knows if device manufacturers are going to head in that same direction?
I mean, it does raise another thought of mine, which is, would Cyber Essentials allow that would they allow sustainability by using devices that are on unsupported CPUs? Or
I'm going to keep my mouth shut on what I think of Cyber Essentials and move on. One last thing here is obviously the technical takeoff is in next week, and I think you're on one of the sessions, aren't you?
Yes, I'm on the what is it called? Can you click on that? I don't know. I honestly don't remember the name of my session, but it is on the 28th. I know that. Let's see. Yeah,
This one.
this one. Yep.
Cool. Well,
If you want to hear some heated guidance on
Expert tips.
Yeah,
expert tips.
we
Looking
recorded a whole bunch of stuff for this, but I think this is to cut down to half an hour. So I'm not sure if my passionate plea to not hybrid join devices in our pilot made the cut, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay. How was it recording?
How
was that?
Oh, we recorded this 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I think. With Peter and Mirko and Leo Bella. It was a lot of fun. We were there for 2 hours.
Nice. And the last bit, which I think there's another session on technical takeoff for, is enterprise app management. So, hey, you're going to have apps in Intune. How do you add those? Do you want to take some of the effort off that? How about updating them? Do you want to take some of the effort off that? There are third-party tools available for this, but this will be one integrated directly into the Intune portal. Searching the app catalog.
Do they say how many apps they're adding?
I do not think this page shows.
Okay.
You can extrapolate from how big the scroll bar is here on this image.
Hang on a minute. It might only show the first 15 results. Is this something different than the Microsoft Store? Is this where the vendors have got a relationship with Microsoft and they're on board with just keeping everything up to date in this way?
This is Microsoft taking the effort off of you packaging those applications.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my understanding as well.
Without
coding anyone.
Oh wow, KeyPass XE is there. Nice.
Yeah, but you have the ability to still, if you are adding an application, but you need to put in some command lines, it's just the Win32 process. So a bunch of it's filled in for you, and you can still amend those command lines if you need to add your switches or whatever to do that. And
this
then
this is the one feature I'm most excited about, honestly. I mean, endpoint analytics is really cool, PKI, all that stuff. But this one, because I've done a lot of app packaging for the last 10 years, this I'm really, really excited about.
Anyone that's ever done app packaging will tell you how much of a nightmare it is. So anything to help you not do that.
And also, we all try and get everyone's apps updated within a reasonable time frame. Not a single business on this planet is doing it well, or to 100%. And if this is going to help us do that, let's say that you agree that everything is going to be deployed via Intune. If this helps us get there without anything third party, and it just does it, it solves a huge problem. Your vulnerability dashboard on Defender is going to look way smaller when there's a vulnerability with 7 zip. It's going to self-update tomorrow.
Yeah. I think it's the same as looking at it at updating your devices. It should be something that just happens.
The updating is not automated. You have to go into this apps for Windows catalog apps. Looks on the screenshot, and it will show you the ones that you've deployed, and the whether there's an update available for it.
Okay, I see that. Yeah,
it then kind of runs you through the way of updating and superseding the existing one. But
I guess that's purely to stop people kind of going, "Oh, we didn't want that to update.
See,
I would like that ability personally.
I would too.
The ability to just mark one of those as I don't care. Keep this one up to date. Just
like
do
it
it
does with the
automatically.
driver. Have you seen the new? It's like automatic or stage it.
Have rings.
But
We'll get there. We know it will.
I'm sure. Yeah, Danny, as Johannes will know, is very passionate about this feature, and I'm sure it will only.
Oh
get better.
This feature is in good hands. I'm not worried about this.
For those who don't know, who are we talking about?
Danny Guillory.
He's the product manager. No, wait, PM. Product. Program manager or product manager. I can never remember which.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a great guy. He knows his stuff.
See, SECM Avenger on Twitter.
Yeah, he comes in chat sometimes, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But three incredible features that I think are coming into Intune.
On top of all the other stuff that's already in the Intune suite. Like
Indeed.
EPM and remote help.
Remote help, yep. And the MAM tunnel, although I think that's probably the least exciting of all of them.
Yeah.
It's very specific, isn't it?
EPM is really powerful and only getting better. Remote help is now, I think, Mac in preview over HTML5. So yeah, everything getting love there in the Intune suite.
Yeah, and not to mention if you follow Intune like we do, you'll notice that they have monthly releases of the product if you weren't aware. So there are new things happening every month.
Yep, and Mac OS Cloud Management is something that they are very, very deeply working on as well. Because there's still a couple of gaps which I think are on Apple rather than Microsoft. But this Security Copilot in Intune is the last one that I wanted to touch on. Which I think is super exciting. And
so go back to the things we talked about, having Copilot being our second brain, or being a co-worker in some way.
So
the force multiplier. So and I will expand on that. If you have no idea how anything in Intune works, Security Copilot is not going to help you a whole lot, because if you multiply anything by 0, nothing is going to happen. But if you know something, even if it's very little, this will multiply. This will have a force multiplier effect on that knowledge you have. It will fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
So if you know enough to make a policy, but you don't know exactly how to do it or how to deal with this stuff, this will fill in the gaps and help you out.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that analogy.
So some of the examples here, if I share the image, it's asking, create a policy that blocks users from using any removable storage devices on Windows 11 laptops.
Yeah, that's great.
And it just spits you out exactly what policies you need. And there's a create policy button.
Rather than memorizing the entire settings catalog, as we have done.
Yeah.
But all this knowledge in my head. Or just going down to another example here, is you've gone through setting up a policy, you've gone through basics and the config settings and assignments and whatever, and you're asking Copilot to summarize the policy. What does this thing do? And it's summarizing it's designed to block users from using any removable storage on Windows 11 laptops, showing whether you've got any conflicts. Hey, you've already got a policy with these settings in. It's going to conflict. That is incredible.
Yes. Especially in larger environments where you might have thousands of policies. for all kinds of business units, departments, divisions, countries, name it.
It'll be interesting to see how it works through things like scope tags. But I suppose if you're segregating stuff via scope tags, they're not going to conflict because you can't impact devices that aren't within your scope.
Going by how Microsoft has handled permissions and the tooling, the various tools that have come out with for the past 30 years, this is not going to enable you to do anything beyond what you're capable of doing manually.
Yeah. So
it's not going to break the bounds of your permissions or scopes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I do want to highlight something on this one as well. User impact, limited flexibility, potential workflow disruptions. I like that we are getting that feedback as well.
Can't wait for what it starts to say about when people are putting in all of those CAS policies.
Oh wow! Yeah. There's like a thought about this though. Are you kind of glad that as a consultant you know how to do this manually, and so therefore you understand the benefit of the tool? Does it make you worry about admins who have never done this stuff manually and just basically getting their problem solved for them, even if they do have a little bit of knowledge about what they're looking for?
This will not help you use the tool. If you don't know how to use the tool, to Johannes' point, this isn't going to help you. You could already do this now. You could already throw your GPOs into the endpoint, group policy analytics and hit create policy. Like, it's
you need to know why you're
people that don't have hands don't swing hammers. It doesn't matter how nice the hammer is. You can't swing it. You're gonna need somebody to help you out.
Use your feet.
But you need to know what you want to do and how you do it in a way before you can leverage this tool.
Yeah. And the last one is some other kind of examples here. Summarize a specific policy, which this one, oh my God, this one, which existing Windows 10 configuration policies contain encryption-related settings. Anybody that's been using Intune for a while, which policy is that setting in?
Yeah. Endpoint security configuration policies, right? Those two blades. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this could be solved partly by just having a search box that goes beyond the title, and because I know what the settings are called. And I want to just see encryption and find the policies that have that in it. I don't know why we're using computationally big stuff to get that.
That's kind of the point in having the different blades in endpoint security, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Just to segregate your antivirus and your encryption settings, but everything else is kind of gets dumped into the configuration blade.
But to new Intuners, endpoint security can seem relevant because all of those settings are actually available in settings catalog. So which one do you use? I mean, I always steer people towards endpoint security because
it's the right thing to do.
It's a logical separation. But I've done tenant sort of gap analysis and then seen that they've put their onboarding and all their AV settings as like administrative templates in.
Yep, or endpoint protection templates. Or
That stuff.
This again goes down to not explaining how the tool works. But I think it's a valid question, which is, we've been using this for so long. Have we forgotten what the learning curve to it is?
I think so.
I think I forget sometimes.
Intune is going to have net new customers, net new admins using this non-stop for the next 10 years. Easy.
Yeah. And we see the amount of people that ask questions like, oh, where do I set this? Like, why are there 4 places where I can set Windows Hello for Business? We know the answers to those. They're not good answers. It's like, oh, it's tech debt. It's Intune tech debt. But
sorry.
Yeah, no. Carry on.
Imagine if we go back to conclude a little bit on this as well. If we go back to the conversation we had about AI, right? So if you're in a meeting, the CISO has a meeting with someone, and he now wants to have a kind of overview of how the organization is going. He can then also ask the Copilot across all these workloads to get what encryption state are we on, and he can get the feedback.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point.
And he can ask it so many different things across these workloads, all the way from identity to the device management, without involving anyone. But he can get the answer, and then he can start to involve and connect people together and get it to But I just think it's great to have these tools, and we see Copilot coming in, and we hope to see a lot of people getting the benefits, right?
Yeah. And as we saw earlier on with the Entra thing, there's Security Copilot sits in Entra, Security Copilot sits within Intune and the Defender Security Portal, so it knows stuff from across everything. So that natural language stuff should be able to theoretically, give you answers across all of them, which is really powerful.
Yeah. So should we have anyone want to have some ending words on all of this? So many new things and so many new technologies we're going to have some experience with.
Come on, James, you first.
Read the blogs, try and digest stuff, try and make sense of it, because if it doesn't make sense, it's of no value to you. But it's exciting.
Attend the technical takeoff. They're going to do this. It's half-hour sessions, so it's not going to be very hard for you to pick out sessions you really want to watch. Everybody has a half-hour free time. No big deal. It will help you out the most.
To quote Michael Jackson, you are not alone. You can join communities, you can ask people, you can make friends along the way, and we can help you.
And I have mine. It's that decision makers are sleeping. #passwordless.
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree.
Yes. Cool. The future is bright. The future is orange.
EE.
So thank you all for being on this call and listening to our podcast, and we will have a new episode soon. So okay, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Adios.